Go ahead and open this March 4th, 2015 meeting, Oceanside City Council, Harbor District, and CDC. With that, a roll call, please.
Mayor Wood.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Lowry.
Here.
Councilmember Feller. Here. Councilmember Kern.
Here.
And Ms. Sanchez is absent.
I see indicated called earlier she's out sick.
Okay.
Thank you very much. With that, to our city attorney.
Thank you. The council meet in closed session to discuss the following items. There'll be no meeting on item 1. Item 2A, conference of legal counsel on existing litigation in the matter of Loaya Palpao versus City of Oceanside, claim number WC 2010-000155. And item 2A, Romanet 2, Dunex, Inc., Cavalier Mobile Estates versus City of Oceanside, case number 3712-000-55503.
There's my rock in the lady. I have to go say hello. Good, there's Steve.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Let's get started. By the way, if you're here for item, a second, let me check here, and the proclamations for the Martin Luther King Civic Award, that's at 6 o'clock, by the way, and some people are confused. We're here at 5, so just for information, that's a 6 o'clock item. Thank you very much. Janet, you can stay here and monitor the entire thing if you wish. Thank you. Other than that, Mr. Clerk, good afternoon. Welcome. Could I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Witt?
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Lowry?
Here.
Councilmember Feller?
Here.
Councilmember Kern?
Here. Thank you. And I had a call from Councilmember Sanchez. She's out sick, so passing that on to you also. With that, on the items, consent calendar, please.
Yes, consent calendar items 3 through 16.
Thank you.
Move approval.
I'll second that. Do we have any speakers on this from the
No
audience?
public.
How about the council? Anybody want to pull anything?
No.
I see none. With that, please go ahead and vote.
Motion approved 4-0.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let me turn the page. General items, item number 17, please.
Yes, item number 17 is approval of a federal aid fund appropriations for the Coast Highway Bridge over San Luis River, Coast Highway Bridge Replacement Project, and the Douglas Drive Bridge over San Luis River, Douglas Bridge Seismic Retrofit Project. Approval of a professional services agreement with Mafat and Nicole Inc. of San Diego in an amount not to exceed $5,393,910 for conceptual drawings, environmental documents and permits, and project design for construction plans and specifications for the Coast Highway Bridge Replacement Project, and authorization for the city manager to execute the agreement.
Thank you. With that, David, would you please identify yourself to the public? I guess they don't see you that much, so get started with that, please.
Okay, very good. Mayor, council members, David Toshak, Senior Civil Engineer, Development Services Department.
Thank you.
So here today to discuss the project, and kind of going back to 2009, a tour of federal aid projects in San Diego County. I was with a federal aid representative, and he was visiting the Pacific Street Bridge, now known as Officer Dan Descent Memorial Bridge. As we were walking, I turned and I pointed eastward to the Coast Highway Bridge here, and I said, I'll be seeking funds for that bridge next. Without batting an eye, he said, that's a $26 million bridge replacement. So, that's why I'm here today. Since 2009, the bridge program that we have here has accomplished 4 goals. The first was, we closed out the original Coast Highway Douglas Drive Bridge Seismic Retrofit project. By doing so, we've omitted any continued obligations with the federal government on that project. It's a closed-out project. That was the first step moving toward what we accomplished. Step 2, we separated the 2 projects into 2 separate bridge projects, which, given the 2 bridges are 6 miles apart on the San Luis River, economic benefits and environmental benefits are 2 things. We were able to possibly move concurrently or separately with the environmental processes, which require a NEPA and a CEQA document, a combined document. Number 3 is we were able to obtain Caltrans federal aid funding for a coast highway bridge replacement project. Right now, our estimated cost for construction is $30 million. If we combine in design, which we're discussing today, and construction support in the future, approximately 2018, late 2018 is what our current schedule is, the project could be approaching a $40 million project. The fourth thing we achieved was establishing and getting authorization for a separate Douglas Drive bridge seismic retrofit project. And our initial estimates right there are about $11 million per project cost. Now you might ask why we need new bridges. Now, Coast Highway was built in 1929. But after the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake, a state-mandated local bridge seismic safety bridge program was initiated by Caltrans. That program consisted of 12,000 bridges throughout California. Coast Highway and Douglas were on that list. In addition, Caltrans manages a federal-mandated bridge inspection program that monitors the conditions of bridges throughout their life. Inspection reports from this program basically identifies structural deficiencies. The good news is Caltrans has programs, federal aid programs, to assist local agencies and cities in funding the remedies for both structural and seismic deficiencies. In the case of the Coast Highway Bridge, we are fall under what they call the Highway Bridge Program, and in this particular case, we are eligible for 100% funding of eligible replacement costs. Now, throughout the life of the project, when something this big and we have several years to look at things, staff's going to look at other opportunities for improvements, and we may be seeking other grant opportunities, possibly an ADT grant, Advanced Transportation Grant, the ATG grants, that might help fund some other improvements that we want to put in the project. But federal funding is specifically for the replacement of a deficient structure. So, with a master federal aid agreement and project-specific supplemental agreements already in place, either by council approval or by administrative approvals, staff is recommending the following things. We recommend that council make appropriations for a Coast Highway Bridge replacement project and for a Douglas Drive seismic retrofit project. We are asking for the approval of a PSA with Moffett and Nickel Incorporated in the value of the $5.4 million for environmental, design, and construction support services for the replacement of this 949-foot long structure. We also ask the city manager we also ask council to authorize the city manager to approve that PSA. And with that, that concludes my presentation. If there are any questions, I'm more than welcome to respond.
I would say the sidebar, if you see any questions, public on this.
No public.
Back to the council with that in mind, please. Councilmember Feller, please.
I move approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, please. Councilmember Kern, please.
Is there any other identified bridges? I have two in mind. One is the pier, which is a bridge, and I guess Pacific Terrace over Cassidy Street, which are two bridges that are in desperate need of repair. So is there are they on the list someplace? Or could we put them on the list someplace?
Yes, Cassidy Street, or Pacific Terrace over Cassidy Street, is on the list. Interesting enough, it has a average daily traffic count of 1. So the numbers could be very low to be on the list. However, and we can seek that project as well. We'll make an application for that project. In regard to the pier, the concrete portion of the pier is on the list that Caltrans Structures and Caltrans Structures and Maintenance investigates. However, they view the structure right now as a pedestrian overcrossing. So at this time, it's not eligible. So the effort now that we're going through is to see if we could justify that structure as a vehicular structure. And we actually have vehicles making deliveries on that structure now. So we're actually seeking to get that project eligible.
Okay, I know it's not on the agenda, but I just wanted to talk about it because it looks like the city attorney was starting to move forward there. Okay, well, thank you.
Well, I think when you get free things from the federal government and stuff, I'm always in favor of those, so let's please vote.
Well, that's just them giving us our money back.
Yes.
Motion approved 4-0.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you, staff. And Mr. Clerk, when you get a moment, 18, please.
Yes, item 18 is authorization toward a contract in an amount not to exceed $2,974,265 to Arietta Construction Incorporated of El Cajon for construction of the Lake Boulevard Sewer Replacement Project. Approval of a professional service agreement with Infrastructure Engineering Corporation of Oceanside in an amount not to exceed $269,128 for construction, management, and inspection services for the project. Approval of professional services agreement with NV5 of San Diego in an amount not to exceed $38,655 for engineering support services during construction, and authorization for the city manager to execute the agreements upon receipt of all supporting documents.
Thank you very much. Jason, welcome whenever you get a chance.
Honorable Mayor and council members, did have a presentation. I don't see it up here. Let's see if
Here comes Luigi. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The Lake Boulevard Sewer Replacement Project generally is located just south of Highway 78 at the intersection of Lake Boulevard and College, as shown here on this map. The sewers in this general area were constructed originally back in the mid-1960s. The existing creek crossing was identified as being deficient in late 2003. The pipe is suspended and exposed above the normal water level within the creek and is subject to failure if a large storm event may occur. The existing pipe alignment, as shown here in red, indicates where it crosses the creek. The proposed improvements, as shown here on this map, would eliminate the suspended creek crossing and relocate the pipe within the existing right-of-ways of both Lake Boulevard and College Boulevard, thus completely eliminating the risk associated with the existing creek crossing. The project generally consists of installation of approximately 3,200 lineal feet of new pipe, which includes a small portion of water line, 5 new manholes, asphalt, and concrete pavement repair. The project design also includes odor control measures to reduce the odor issues that have been a prominent problem in this general area. Council authorized the city engineer to call for bids on May 7th of 2014. On January 13th, 2015, one bid was received. The bid was evaluated and determined to be responsive. The bid was received from Arietta Construction Incorporated in the amount of $2,974,265. In order to properly manage and inspect the project, a request for proposals for construction management and inspection services was sent out on April the 1st, 2014 to 12 independent consulting firms. On April 24th, 2014, 2 proposals were received, and upon reviewing and evaluating those proposals, it was determined that Infrastructure Engineering Corporation provided the most comprehensive and cost-effective proposal. In addition to the CM and inspection, NV5 engineering firm is also the design firm. They have been retained to perform engineering support services as may be required during construction. The total project cost, including all professional services agreements and the construction contract, is equal to approximately $3.25 million. Our adopted budget is $3.4. Therefore, sufficient funds are available for the project. Staff is requesting council award the construction project to Arietta Construction Incorporated, approve professional service agreements with both Infrastructure Engineering Corporation, NV5, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreements. That concludes my presentation. I'll be available.
Jason, have a seat sidebar. Appreciate that. Mr. Clerk, anything from the public?
No public.
Back to the city council. With that, I will go Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you, Jason. I think it's a great solution, but in the middle of Lake and College seems to be going to be a busy street. Have you got a solution for traffic in that area?
We do. We performed considerable outreach to the public in the areas. The portion along Lake Boulevard would be constructed during the daytime, and then on College Boulevard would be at nighttime to help eliminate traffic issues.
Okay, thank you. I move approval.
Do you have a second? You have a second? Okay, let me do Councilmember Kern first, please.
There's only one thing about this that kind of makes me nervous, that we only had a single bidder. Usually when you have why is that? Why didn't we have more than one bid on this contract?
We called around to see, from the other bidders that we anticipated, the ones that pulled plans and that we have relationships with, and the project, although in our eyes is a large project, it's a smaller project for most of these large contractors. So, and plus their plates are fairly full right now. So we're seeing several things right now in the industry. It's an increase in cost of the projects. The bids are much higher than what we are anticipating. So the economy is getting better, but then the lack of quite a few of the contractors we used to have in years past during the downturn, no longer in business. So there's limited number of contractors, and they seem to be extremely busy right now. So I think it's due to the current market.
Is this in line with, did we have engineering estimates beforehand?
The engineer's estimate prior to not including prevailing wage was $2.1 million.
Oh, okay, so we're a little high. Okay, all right, thanks.
Councilmember Deputy Mayor Lowry, please.
Jason, once this project begins, once they start breaking ground there, how long will it take to complete the project? If it doesn't rain.
That's the key part. I think we've anticipated about 12 months for the construction.
12 months.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I was watching the audience for a second. Please, thank you very much. With that, I've got comments. Go ahead and vote on this one, please. Thank you very much.
Motion approved 4-0.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Did you want to? Sure. Go ahead. Yep. Please.
So item 24 is the closed session report. The council did meet in closed session. There was no meeting on item 1. On item 2A, the council did meet involving a conference with legal counsel on existing litigation in the matter of Pow Pow versus City of Oceanside, claim number WC 2010-00155, Workers' Compensation Appeal Board numbers ADJ 7293934 and ADJ 2823376. The council did provide direction, but there's no reportable action under the Brown Act at the present time. Item 2A2 is Dunnex Inc. Cavalier Mobile Estates versus City of Oceanside, Superior Court case number 2012 000555503. Council did meet and provide direction on that matter. Again, there is no reportable action at this time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Mr. Clerk, when you get an opportunity to jump ahead on some of these, could go to item 29, please, for Deputy Mayor.
Yes, item number 29 is a request by Deputy Mayor Lowry to have staff review current workers' compensation provider to assess if the current provider is meeting the city's level of service.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I'm the newest member here on the council, and I have had a lot of people come to me with comments about different things. Even when I was campaigning, people were asking me about workers' compensation. And we have this third-party administrator, the term is TPA, and I met with our director to explain to me how all of these systems work. And I understand that the legal side of the workers' compensation program is so complex that the regulations are in a binder like this big, and the paper is onion skin thin, so it's a lot of materials to keep up with. And I spoke also with acting city manager Michelle Lawrence, and she added a few details to that. So my question is that I would like a basic report from staff to explain to the whole city council, and then have it go to, of course, the public, stating what our situation is with using TriStar as our TPA, I keep looking that up, third-party administrator. So I have a couple questions to ask Pat Nunez, who is our HR director, and just if you want to just give us a quick overview, I'll ask the questions. They're already what we've discussed. So.
You want me to do a workers' comp 101 again, or?
Yes. No, I don't need it. I'm just wondering if you're prepared to do a workers' comp 101 evaluation for us, so that we kind of know where we are with the system, and in light of the audit that's pending that you told me about, if we can integrate that information into a summary report so we can see everything about what's going on in light of the settlement that we made today. I'm very concerned about it and want to be sure that we have people, our employees, who understand what it means to work safe on the job, whether that's on a typewriter or on a job site with heavy equipment. So.
Okay, we would be more than happy to come back with a report. The audit that's going to be done, we believe, next week by CSAC, will look at the reserves that we allocate to workers' comp, how we apply the law, make sure we're complying with all the features. They are independent of the state audit that also occurs separately. We can bring back a report on our claims management with TriStar, which is a third-party administrator. Be happy to do that. I would probably need at least 3 to 4 weeks to do that. I start negotiations on Monday, so my plate's pretty full, but we would be happy to do that. Did you want any information tonight? I mean, I don't have the whole report tonight.
No. I just would like a summary of how TriStar has completed the work they've done for us. And you explained to me that we used to do all this in-house until 2012.
Yes, prior to 2012, we had one in-house adjuster and a supervisor who actually managed all the claims internally in-house. Our workers' comp injuries are paid for via the general fund with an excess insurance policy that we have that carries independent incidents of over 500,000 or more. So we did them in-house. We had some staffing turnover, which resulted in having one adjuster who had about 4 months experience, and neither the risk manager nor I had enough workers' comp background, so we were in a very tenuous situation to ensure that the employees' claims got handled. We contracted with TriStar via the San Diego pooled insurance program that we're involved with, because they hold the contract with TriStar. It was a very quick turnaround because we had to do it that quickly. We can evaluate TriStar at this point. If it's the council's wishes, we could certainly go out for an RFP. There are multiple TPAs. There are 2 in San Diego. There's 3 and 4 in Orange County, Riverside County, San Diego. If that's the wishes at the end of the report, we're happy to do that. When we contracted out, we were on a very short timeline and had to go the way we went. But we've been working with TriStar. We have individual adjusters who work only on our claims, And the risk manager and her assistant have contacted each injured employee at the time they're injured to make sure they understand the process, what they're to do with going to the doctor and returning their paperwork, and to call us if they have any problems, that we will coordinate anything we can. Our challenges arise when employees obtain an attorney, because city staff is no longer able to communicate to the employee about their claim, nor are the TriStar adjusters. So everything has to go from attorney to the employee, to our attorney, back to us. So that does result in delays. I don't know that there's any way to resolve that, because that's part of the state law.
So it's a complicated system, and I understand that, you know, how many regulations come out that impact us. At least, you know, you can say annually we have this many new regulations. But for us to understand that means that we would have to have people constantly training on how to do that work, and that's why we have this outside party doing the work for us, so that we can do the jobs we need to do here in the city, and they can be the experts on what our, you know, what we have to do to be in compliance with the regulations.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah. So, do we have any comparison? Is there anything we can compare to, for example, previous history before we started working with TriStar? Can you put that together into a report if we choose to ask for a report?
We can. It will somewhat be apples to oranges due to some really significant workers' comp law changes, which have occurred. We can do what we can do. It will not be exactly apples to apples.
Okay.
I also initiated today contacting the other cities in the county to determine if they use TriStar, which there are 12 cities that use TriStar, if they are happy or if there are concerns. There are about 5 cities who use alternate TPAs, and getting input from them. And then the city and the county of San Diego both are so large that they have internal adjusting staff that do their own claims.
I am, as I mentioned a second ago, very concerned about the impact on our employees of injuries, and I want to be sure that we are taking care of them in a responsible way. And the outcome for Mr. Powpow is so serious that you know, anything that we can do to address that when it's at a small scale instead of something where it's gone up and become a permanent injury.
And our safety program does meet with employees. We have both a field safety committee, and we created an administrative safety committee early last year. They meet monthly with the risk manager to go over various types of training. There's going to be ergonomic training, I believe, next month. For anybody who wants to come, who sits at a desk or a typewriter or whatever, so they know independently how to best set things up for them. If they want us to come and help them, we're more than happy to do that. And anybody that has a claim that's related, for instance, to keyboarding, one of the things that we decided about 6 months ago is that we need to get an official ergonomic study done for them once they report that injury, so that we make sure to minimize any additional impact to them. And we also work with their work restrictions to ensure that the supervisors know, you know, they need a 15-minute break every 2 hours from keyboarding, and can you accommodate that? So we work back and forth with the supervisors and the employees constantly on the safety side as well.
Okay. Thank you. I am going to move that we ask you for a basic overall report, and I hope that my colleagues will join me in this. I think this is a serious situation that we need to at least review, not necessarily do anything about it.
I'll second. I think it would probably be helpful to get the full report before we make any further decisions on that. I mean, I just, are you done, Deputy Mayor? Or?
I'm very done.
Okay. Just one quick question. How many cities in San Diego have it in-house?
There are 17 cities, in-house, only the city and the county of San Diego. We were the last small city to maintain it in-house. There's just too much work for minimal staffing, and so everybody has gone out to a third-party administrator now.
And I think I've asked this question. Our contract with TriStar, if the report shows that maybe we should find another provider, how does that So we just go out for an RFP?
We will go out for an RFP. Our contract runs through July 31st of this year. So if the decision was made fairly soon to go out for an RFP, we could potentially turn it over if needed at the end of July. If not, we can do it over the year. Crunching an RFP down into minimal time sometimes doesn't get you the best results. So we could certainly do an RFP, see what else is out there, interview other third-party administrators.
But we're going to hold off the report, and I think
Right.
the deputy mayor's request is probably pretty timely then to get that report back, and you said 30 days or so?
About that.
Okay.
We want to get the office.
Then we can have some information to go on. All right, thank you.
I'm going to jump in real quick because we got a lot of calls and contacts by employees and employee groups, basically explaining how much they do not get any assistance or work from TriStar. I can relate to that, I certainly can, but so the issues here are a little more different. At one point we had in-house. We had complaints about that, there's no doubt about it, maybe because of the volume for a large city like ours. On the other hand, what I'd like to see, and I'll address it with the maker of the motion, the deputy mayor, I'd like to see us go through staff. When I say staff, I mean the city manager, to arrange to have this particular issue looked into by somebody who is consultant in this area. I've given her a name of somebody who is pretty prominent in the North County who has done this before in dealing with TriStar at other cities to find out what's the best benefit to us in the long run. Staff can give me a report how things are, but again, you're short of staff, you say. I would like to make the motion, have the making of the motion, the deputy mayor say that when I say staff, I want the city manager to get involved with an outside entity to look into the best thing for our city and our employees and worker comp claims. We've gone outside. That's been very disappointing when I get feedback from all the employees. And a lot of the stuff is big money. There's no doubt about it. We understand it. Can you continue to do it with the staffing you have? I doubt it, but that would have to be addressed in the big ring. We certainly spend a lot of money for TriStar or any other things on the outside. I've been, at best, unhappy with the in-house dealings with it, needed to be, let alone TriStar. So I would like to see if, in fact, the maker of the motion would say, I'd like the city manager to have people look into this issue because I know we're short-staffed. Why would I go and give a short-staffed group even bigger deal to do? I would like to get somebody in the outside professional to look into what's the best deal for all of us in the North County. I've given you some names about that, and I think that would be a better deal than piling on more to an agency or group that doesn't have enough time. Let the city manager get somebody else involved to look into the best option for our city, out of house, in-house, whatever it might be, but I want somebody other than our staff doing it right now. They don't have the time. I don't know, I'd make her the motion if that would be something you will want to change her, and a second, I don't know.
I'd like to see the staff have this 30-day window that she thinks she can do it in 3 or 4 weeks and bring that back to us. Then we can make that decision again. We're not in a crisis situation, so I think we can move it forward. If they're unable to bring us something that's satisfactory, then we can request that we take it to the city manager's office and bring in an outside, someone to help us with it.
I'll stay with your recommendations, Deputy Mayor, and the understanding that city manager is sitting right next to us, and she can get involved in what I brought up and what we can and can't do. In-house is not doing it, I'm sorry to say. So with that in mind, I don't want to give you one more thing to do when you already have your hands tied. So with that, I'll pull back and I'll say, Councilmember Feller, please.
So we really aren't doing this in-house, are we?
We're not actually doing a claims adjustment and evaluating the medical treatments that have been recommended. We do it's kind of analogous to an air traffic controller, where we have one person that her own job is dealing with cross-communication between the employees and the medical providers and TriStar, clearing the way, taking our in-house injury reports when somebody reports they have an injury, and providing that to TriStar, giving them the base data so that they can assign a claim number. We can get the medical providers involved. So all she does all day long is communicate with the employees up until the point they have an attorney, and then we can't help them anymore. So we are involved.
Well, I think I will agree with what Deputy Mayor has asked for, and I think you need to keep in mind that there's a reason that the county and the city of San Diego can have, they can hire enough experts on their staff to handle things. We can't afford to hire the experts that one of these TPAs has at their fingertip all the time. So I think, you know, and if there's the 30 days would also give the city manager an opportunity to check into, you know, a number of consultants, maybe do a short RFP for consulting.
And the data that we gather could be used by that consultant. We would have to do that work anyway to assist a consultant that came in to look at it. So we're not wasting any time.
Right.
The consultant could use the data to do an evaluation as well.
But I think we can't just pick anybody to do the consulting. We haven't used a consultant in that regard before.
I'll leave that to the city manager.
So I agree. So, thank you.
Mr. Kern?
No, I just kind of, your motion, I don't think we need to hire a consultant right now. I think we have enough consultants on staff right now, so I think letting staff do this. I think the starting point is what the deputy mayor said. Let's get the report, and then we can actually make some decisions at that time. So thank you.
Thank you. City manager, please.
Yes, thank you. Honorable Mayor and council members, I was just going to suggest that you allow staff to do this initial report. We can bring it back, and if there's a need, we can contract for an outside individual to take a look at the program.
Thank you very much. Your motion, so you have the closing on it, Deputy Mayor. Any more comments, or you're the closer on this?
I'm ready to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0.
Thank you very much. I'll take another one when we got time. Item 27, please. Thank you.
Yes, item number 27 is request by Mayor Wood to make appointments to or motions for removal from some or all of the city's advisory groups.
Thank you very much. This comes out in advance for the council. I'll make a motion to approve this item that's on here for the changes on the committees and commissions. One more time, I will say, there's openings in all these committees, and we don't get any applicants that get approved by the police department, and we can't fill these positions. So what I got is the latest ones that I've had come forward. I put them out to you in a week in advance, so I'd make a motion to approve those. Thank you very much.
I second.
Thank you very much. And the public?
No public.
Back to the council. I see none. If not, please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And let's see here. Mr. Feller, I'm going to keep yours at 6 o'clock. Figured the crowd that will be here on that. Anyhow, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a recess right now for about 15-20 minutes until we have a 6 o'clock meeting. And we'll come back for that. If you haven't been here before, out the doors, up the stairs, bathrooms, water, and I appreciate that. Yeah, good end. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, for our second half of our city council meeting. It starts at 6 o'clock. Some of you were confused, and I think it was our fault. Don't worry about it. Normally we start at 5, and this time we start at 6, but we'll work that out in the future. But for right now, we have started for the main portion of our city council meeting, some presentations with some very important people. And one thing I'll ask you for housekeeping, if you would, if you have a phone or pager, put it on silent or vibrate. We'd appreciate that, make things move a little easier. With that, I'll take a roll call. May I, please?
Mayor Wood?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Lowry?
Here.
Councilmember Feller?
Here.
Councilmember Kern?
Here. Thank you. And Debbie, will you take it from there for introductions?
Please stand for tonight's invocation and pledge. The invocation will be delivered by City Clerk Zach Beck, who is also the youth pastor for the Fields Church.
Please bow your heads. Father, we come before you to say thank you. Thank you for the privilege, the blessing, the honor it is to reside in this community of Oceanside. We come together as a diverse community of different backgrounds, different beliefs, different presents, and different futures, yet one common goal, and that's the betterment of this city. We come tonight to seek your guidance, wisdom, and discernment regarding the deliberations that transpire this evening. We lift up Councilmember Speller, Councilmember Kern, Deputy Mayor Lowry, Mayor Wood, as well as Councilmember Sanchez, as they come here to deliberate the future of this city. And we come here to say thank you for this time, and we look forward to the future that we have together. In your precious name, amen.
Tonight's Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Christina Sanchez, aide to Councilmember Esther Sanchez.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Thank you very much, ladies and thank you.
Next, I'd like to call forward Elke Rils from the San Diego Humane Society.
Hi, everybody. He is amazing. This little dog. His name is Prince, and I literally met him 20 minutes ago. And I think he would be anybody's best friend. He's very social. He was turned over by his owners because they didn't have enough time to spend with him. They have him in about a year and a half, a Cocker Spaniel Poodle mix, who is around children, other dogs. He's housed with other dogs right now. Laid right down in my car. He's just been amazing. So I think you could make somebody, any type of family, a wonderful companion. His adoption fee is $95, and he's at our San Luis Rey location. And we are open for adoptions from 11 to 6 during the week and 11 to 5 on the weekends. So please come and meet Prince and his little buddies. So he's got like a little group of little dogs that he's hanging out with, a little Yorkie mix and a little black and white terrier with a crazy frisky hair. So if you're looking for a little dog, I think now is the time to head over there. Just like to remind everybody about the wonderful adult education programs we have. This Sunday is Pet First Aid. There is a charge. It's $60 or $80 depending on if you want one or two books, if you're a cat or dog person or both. But you can find out more information on our website. It's a 4-hour class, and we do that every other month in Oceanside. We have Doggy Cafe, which is next Friday, where you actually bring your dog to our Airport Road location. You get some tips from trainers. You hang out with other dog lovers, and of course some sweets to hit your sweet tooth. And then in April, we have our happy hour lecture series coming up, and we're actually doing two special events. We have Planting with Your Pooch. So she talks about ways of being out in your yard with your pet, appropriate pets for dogs to make, or appropriate plants for dogs to make sure that they're not poisonous. So that's a very interesting lecture. They're in the evenings, and they start about 6:30, and they're about an hour and a half long. And then we have one that has sold out twice in San Diego. It's painting your pet. What you do is you send your pet's picture to the artist, and she sketches it for you. Then you come to our location, and she teaches you how to, put in the shadowings, and then you walk away with your very own custom painted portrait of your pet. It is a little bit more expensive. I think it might be like $35, but she does donate some money back to us, and that's in the middle of April. But I do recommend RSVPing right away if that's something that you want to do, but it seems to be a big hit at our other locations. So I invite you to look at our website and see all the great things we have to offer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you haven't been to the Humane Society, #1 for the dogs, they have a beautiful 2.6-acre off-leash park. Large dogs, small dogs. It's really kind of a social gathering for everybody that owns dogs, #1. #2, they have a cat, bunny, and a few other animals across the street by the airport. I just got my cat there. I keep telling you that because I'm thrilled to death with the cat. And I got a special rate because I'm old. Anyhow, this is a great dog. I think this would be a great mascot dog for Maricosta College. I could be wrong.
I think you'd love any.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to move on to the presentations portion of the meeting. I would like to introduce Maricosta College President and Superintendent and members of the Board of Trustees. Will the following individuals please come forward? Dr. Sonny Cook, President and Superintendent of Maricosta College. Cheryl Broom, Director of Public and Governmental Relations.
Come on up here.
David Broad, Board President. Bill Fisher, Board Member. And George McNeil, Board Member.
Please, one of your... Come on, David. Come on. You want to reach out there? Good. Here's what I want to do. If you haven't seen this before, this is fairly new. I thought about doing something a while back with this when we have people that are heavily involved in the community, like Maricosta College is, not only for us, the work aspects, school and education, you really have a major impact on our city. With that, we hear a lot of people say, oh, I've never met those people. So what I do, I'm starting it off with your group, having somebody here, our new superintendent of Maricosta College. I'll give her the mic in a few seconds, and the board of directors from there. They're not all here, but this is the better half. How's that? What we're going to do is the people out here in the audience and at home on TV, it plays over several times on KOCT. This will give them a chance, in my opinion, a chance to see the face with the name they hear all the time. And we'll have you today. Next time we'll have somebody maybe from Tri-City Hospital, the school board, whatever, and that way you can see a face with somebody who has a great impact on our city of Oceanside beside the council. So with that, I'm thrilled to pass the mic to our new superintendent of Maricosta College. My son-in-law is from India, so he's thrilled just like I am. I'll pass the mic to somebody who's very important.
Thank you. So is this where I'm going to stand? Thank you. You all look a little uncomfortable. Do you want to go back to the seats and stay up here? Thank you for having us this evening. It's a pleasure to see you all, and I don't think I've met all of you, but it's a pleasure to meet you all. I did want to come specifically to talk about a couple of really exciting things that are happening at Maricosta College, and certainly I've been excited to be there only 2 months, but I'm learning so much about what's going on at the college, and the two things that I thought you'd really want to know about are that Maricosta College was selected to be one of 14 community colleges in the state to really participate in a pilot program that is just a historic, kind of life-changing community college opportunity. And we're delighted to be a part of that. We are part of a pilot program that will allow us to offer on our campus a 4-year degree for students to come to Maricosta and study biomanufacturing. So it's a program that meets a very high demand and important sector within our community. It will meet the needs of our industry partners who have been very supportive as we develop this program. So people that graduate from the program will be able to really focus on bioprocessing and production in the biotechnology industry. And so it's companies like Genentech and Gilead have been very, very supportive. And they're here in Oceanside have been very supportive of our efforts. So we are hoping to actually offer junior and senior level
level courses for college. I think the fall of 2017 we'll be offering those. We currently have a program for the first 2 years in the biotechnology program that serves about 200 students on a regular basis. So the other really great part about the degree is not only that people can do this right here within their own community, and it's a great job that meets an industry demand, but it is also a very, very affordable undergraduate degree. So as you hear so much about tuition costs increasing, this is a degree that people within our community can complete in just about $10,000. So to do all 4 years worth of undergraduate degree for about $10,500, I think is the exact cost, is remarkable. And so we're happy to offer that. And the other thing that we're very excited about is in March in Carlsbad we will open up our Technology Career Institute, which again will focus on jobs that are in demand in our community. We will offer machining there and some Homeland Security cloud computing kinds of security, as well as maritime preparation for jobs that are in our community. So we're very excited about that. We'll be having, middle of March, we'll have an open house that's there in Carlsbad. And then I think you will want to know what we do with our high school partners as well. And so one of the things that we're very proud of is that we have a program called Gear Up, and it's a federal grant that we've been operating for some time with the Oceanside Unified High School District. And so students will come to our, actually this summer they can take free classes at the Community Learning Center, which is just up this street. They can take any number of college classes and get college credit for that. And the Gear Up program is really designed to allow awareness of college preparation and what kinds of college opportunities are available for these students. So it's really a way to get them college prepared early and then to give them some college credit so that they know they can be successful at college. So with that, I think I'll finish, and I appreciate my three bosses and my PIO for being here tonight. Do you want the mic?
Sure. I always want the mic. Dr. Cook has gone over a number of the programs we have at the college. I'd like to steal a little bit of the mayor's thunder and congratulate the next person who's going to be up here, who is a MiraCosta trustee emeritus, and that is Charles Adams. I served with Charles. Charles and I were on the board together, and I think we were able to do a lot of good things together. So congratulations on the MLK Award, Charles. As far as the school's concerned, two things I'd like to point out. One, we don't discriminate by age. So all you folks that are out there, come on to college. You can come at any age. I'm not going to tell you how old my wife was, but she's taken about 7 or 8 courses up there. So please come over and take a course. We'd love you to take a course. And if you have a son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter who's still in high school and would like to take a course at MiraCosta while they're in high school, it's at no charge. Free. So that's an incentive to continue education. Thank you.
Good to see you, Charles. Old lady buddies, right? Glad you're here. We hit the jackpot with you, Sonny, and I just can't tell you how delighted we are that you're at the helm. We're not really bosses, but you can say that if you want. We're comrade-in-arms and colleagues, and welcome. Sure. I'll have to give it back to the mayor.
I think Dave wants to say.
Good looking, Kathy.
This is how I get treated all the time, you know, end of the line, busy here, you know. So I want to reiterate, Charles, Sonny, you know, just congratulations. I was at the breakfast. It was awesome. You could see the excitement and the passion in the room. And as you say, we've hit the jackpot with Sonny. And I just wanted to say, I'm excited about the biotech program. I was at Genentech. I was the general manager. And gosh, in 2001, we started up a certificate program, which actually started in this room. We came to present. And one of the council members said, well, what about the collaboration with MiraCosta? Oh. So myself and Tim Dong, the MiraCosta president, went out there. We decided we'd do a certificate and came back in, and that was the genesis of the whole program. So I'm happy to see it keep on growing.
As I said to George, it's the power of politics. Thank you.
I won't bore you very long, but not only do you have this very dignified group up here, but look at this in the audience coming after you. This is everybody from the school district, miracles, you name it, the movers and shakers out there that have been everywhere in the city. We'll get them up here in a few minutes, but I also wanted to let you know about the 4-year program. That's why I brought her here. What we're really striving for is the biofield. Can you imagine? We're training the future employees for these companies. Everybody seems to want to bring their business to Southern California. South San Diego's built out, so everybody seems to be looking at North San Diego County. We told them we have an education plan to train and educate their future employees, which makes them happy. And we have a wonderful group out there that gets this done. So I'm very happy to introduce all of them to you tonight, and in the future we'll keep moving through different groups that really have an impact on our city, our economy, and certainly our employment forces. Thank you all for being here, and thank you. We'll get a picture if we can stand a little tighter together, because some of us are pretty heavy. Can we have the really good guys? Can we have the really good-looking guys on the end? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. You don't have to stay, please. If you wish to leave, go right ahead. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
For our next presentation, I would like to invite the following individuals to please come forward. Charles Adams Sr., William Adams, Reginald Owens, Harry O'Hara, Janet Lacey, Max Kaspersky, Mason Taylor, Willie Riddle, and Alfonso Harris.
You guys taking it around, huh? Council, could you come up front also? I appreciate that. I will be up front. Thank you. Thank you, Willie.
Jim, I'm going to read a little from it. Okay. Sorry about that, Charles.
We have a little comment made here by my assistant, Debbie, please.
Tonight, the City of Oceanside is honored to recognize Charles Adams Sr., winner of the 2015 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Service Award. This prestigious honor has been awarded to community members in Oceanside since 1990. The MLK Junior Community Service Award recognizes volunteer activity and community service to the residents of Oceanside and nonprofit organizations, as well as commitment to positive relationships between different racial, ethnic, and cultural communities. Joining Mr. Adams tonight are past recipients of the city's award, including his wife, Lillian Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. All these recipients behind me, thank you, because I'm standing on your shoulders right now. But I must confess, when I first received this award, I was speechless because I thought everyone standing around me was more qualified than I was. So when they called my name, my wife had to hit me and say, "They called your name." And I looked at her like, "What?"
But anyway, thank you so much. My good friend Alfonso is here with me, and that makes me very good. In case you don't know it, ladies, he's one of the surviving Tuskegee Airmen. You know, you talk about standing on someone's shoulders, I'm standing on his. Thank you so much, Mayor. Thank you, City of Oceanside, and thank you for all that nominated me. I appreciate it greatly.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to confirm this is not necessarily NAACP award. It's from the City of Oceanside. We stepped up and said, this is our hero. This is certainly we want to give a plaque to and say, thank you for all you've done. And believe me, he's been on the committees, commissions, school boards, you name it. There's a list. He's on it. For a long time, I must tell him, he and I get together, and I said, I see you more than I do my own wife, because you're at everything that I'm at. So, and in the background here, these are people that have been involved in the community. These are the movers and shakers in North County, and our housing department and everybody else that gets involved on a daily basis with Marjorie Pierce. Hi, Marjorie. Wave her hand. She's involved in this. This is an award from the City of Oceanside. There's several other awards that has your names all over them and your fingerprints. I thank you for that. Anybody else want to say a word or two? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, these are people that know the town and have been involved. I think it's deserving that your wife say a word or two. Probably bad things about him. He probably said, don't let her have the mic. I know. But how about you, Janet? No. Let's give one more word for this gentleman. How are you doing?
Fine. That's fine. Thank you very much.
You're one of our heroes, too. All the things you did in World War II and flying, thank you very much for being here. Again, one more time, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for a wonderful group and a award presentation. I'm honored. Thank you very much, Charles. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I appreciate it. And if you need to go ahead and go out the door. We'll continue the council meeting. For the rest of you, thank you for allowing us to have these awards and you sitting through them. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, item number 26, please.
Yes. Hang on. Item number 26 is adoption of a resolution approving conditional use permit CUP 14-00025 for the establishment and operation of a bar and cocktail lounge with full alcoholic beverage service, 6 associated pool tables, and a waiver of regulated use locational requirements for a proposed establishment located at 3780 Mission Avenue, Suite 145A, Maxton's Pub and Grill, applicant PCL Corporation.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing, so I'll go ahead and open this public hearing and request disclosures from council members. Start with you, Jack, please.
Thank you. I've been by the site, been at the existing site, and briefly talked with the applicant and had some contact with staff.
Staff only.
Staff, of course, I've been by both locations, the old and the new. Certainly had contact with people in the community. I certainly had emails and phone conversations with different people. I got a petition regarding the establishment, and that's just about it, I think. Thank you.
Staff, public, and I had a semi-extensive email conversation with the owner this last week. And I've actually been in the site for an extended period of time.
Thank you very much. With that, Mr. Clerk, correspondence and petitions. Thank you very much. And with that, Scott.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. It's all yours.
Thank you. Good evening, council members, honorable mayor, members of the public. I'm Scott Nightingale, here to present Agenda 26 for the consideration of a conditional use permit to allow the relocation of an existing bar and cocktail lounge with associated pool tables to a new location located at 3780 Mission Avenue, Suite 145A. The Maxton Bar currently is in operation at 2231 El Camino Real within the Camino and Town and Country Shopping Center. And this business has been a part of the local community for about 35 years now. Unfortunately, Maxton's is being asked to relocate and move out of this existing center due to some reconstruction of the center, and they have looked to this site. As a result, Maxton wishes to relocate to this subject site, located at 3780 Mission Avenue, within the Marketplace Del Rio Shopping Center. The site is zoned neighborhood commercial, and the zoning does permit bar and cocktail lounges with pool tables with the approval of a conditional use permit. Like I said here, it is zoned CN, and it's shown here in the yellow. The bar wishes to locate within an existing commercial suite. The surrounding uses consist of commercial uses in pretty much all directions, with the exception to the northeast. We have a mobile home park. Here's an image of the said tenant space which they wish to locate. It's 4,325 square feet. This building was constructed in 1980. It's currently vacant at the time, but it's been occupied by several tenants. It does share a common wall with an existing restaurant that's just recently opened within the past weeks, known as Wobble Grill. Here's some additional photos here. Here's the back portion of the building. Like I said, the conditional use permit would allow the operations of the bar and cocktail lounge with associated pool tables within this existing tenant suite located at 3780 Mission Avenue. Pursuant to zoning ordinance section 3604 and 3605, the project does require a waiver of locational requirements for regulated uses, bar, cocktail lounge with pool table. Due to the site's location and proximity to a smoke shop, which is located approximately 400 feet away to the west, and proximity to a residential district being approximately 400 feet to the east, a waiver of locational requirements is required per the zoning ordinance. Regulated uses shall be located at least 1,000 feet from one another and at least 500 feet from a residential district, but locational waivers can be filed and grounded if findings are met. And these findings have been met, and these findings are as follows. The site is located within a commercial center, an area that does not have a high concentration of alcohol uses or other regulated uses related to alcohol. Also, the use would be situated within an area that exists with good sound buffering due to the distance from other buildings, and also the separation of El Camino Real. It kind of acts as a good sound buffer to the residential district. And lastly, the existing business would operate in a similar manner as its existing location, which has no violations on file or police reports for the last 20 years. A representative from OPD, the Oceanside Police Department, is here if you do have further questions regarding if there is any violations at this site or at their existing site. Here's an image of where the proposed bar would be located in correspondence to Delaware Marketplace. Maxton's would also include an additional food element to their business, which is new. They don't currently sell food now. This will be part of their business plan. As you can see here, this is their internal floor plan, which consists of 15 tables, an employee office, storage area, walk-in cooler, kitchen, 2 ADA women's and men's restroom, shuffleboard tables, and pool tables. Draft management plan has been submitted. It covers the operation, security, and employee training. And also, the interior layout has been designed to enable the bartenders to have full surveillance of the whole facility while in operation, which provides a good security aspect. In conclusion, staff made the following findings for approval. Based on the proposed development, the project will promote commercial activity to an underutilized area within the city of Oceanside. The project also complies with the city zoning ordinance. And the bar, cocktail lounge with pool tables would operate, like I said, in the same manner as the existing business. They will add security on the weekends, and they are adding the food element, which is a new element to the business. And they also are in proximity to a police station, so if there is any potential issues, they are in proximity to avoid any issues, if any. Also, the proposed use is consistent with the land use goals, policies, and objectives for this area. The Maxton Bar will provide a low-key entertainment use to the neighborhood while promoting commercial activity. Maxton's clientele is comprised mostly of local residents and seniors. So this is one of the main reasons they wish to locate here. Also, they have worked with OPD planning and the economic development manager on finding a location. And this is pretty much the best location that we have found based on low concentration of crime, low alcohol uses. And this is the reason they are moving forward with this location. Maxton wishes to operate a clean and respectable bar business that will promote entertainment options for adults and places for folks to socialize and enjoy sporting events. Maxton's owner has also reached out to members of the community in this area and have reached some support. They did go to the Planning Commission on February 9th, 2015, and unanimously was recommended approval. At this meeting, there was some concern about operations, which we addressed with the management plan. There also was concern about circulation and parking within the center, which it doesn't really have a direct impact. It's not affiliated with the project, but the owner of Maxton's has worked with the owner, and they are looking into restriping the parking lot for better circulation and traffic calming. So with that, Maxton is looked at as a respectable business in Oceanside. They have a clean track record. They're actually looked at as a model business by the OPD when showing other bars or other type of alcohol uses of how to conduct business. And with that, staff recommends that the City Council support the City Planner's decision and approve the conditional use permit and approve the waiver of locational requirements for the bar, cocktail lounge with associated pool tables. This concludes our presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Have a seat sidebar, please, in case there are any questions. Jeff, how are you doing? We'll work on those things. There you go.
I'm doing fine, Mr. Mayor, and we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Also see a police lieutenant in the back if you have any questions regarding crime or activity, and I thank you for that. Anyhow, with that in mind, I'll go back to the city clerk.
Will we be taking the applicant at this time? For 20 minutes, the applicant may come forward right now.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Terry Reed, and I'm one of the owners of Maxton's. It's been a family-ran business for the last 35 years, and it's been handed down to my brother and I to run from our parents. So it's staying within the same principles and everything. We actually have one of the longest singly owned liquor licenses in all of San Diego County, which shows that we must be doing something right, because otherwise it would have been taken away from us. Also, we've been without a lease for the last 7 years, and if we were any form of a problem, that would open the door for our current landlord to evict us or tell us to move on, which they have not. So we just want to stay with our same plan of being a low-key place where people can come and enjoy and hang out together. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any. Pardon? Thank you.
At this time, the communication is open to the public, so any members of the public who would like to speak on this item, we come forward to address the council for 3 minutes.
Good evening, Council and guests. My name is Millie Palatori, 221 North El Camino Real. I'm here to initially oppose Maxton's Bar and Grub, and but the first thing I want to put forth is the fact that we would like the city to go back and increase the building project notice to 1,500 feet. Had that been the case, we wouldn't be here at this late date. We would have known something. I'm speaking on the majority of residents at Trico Mobile Estates, which is just across the street. Also, different businesses within the shopping center, for example, the Kitty Academy. That would be a concern with children. They didn't know about the bar, and I know of only one person on the outside of Trico that got a notice. Now, in opposition, what they're really concerned about is noise, smoke, and accidents due to additional drinks. Several seniors riding scooters throughout the center have been hit multiple times, and they feel that someone in a bar sitting, playing games, but just drinking and not having alcohol with a heavy meal. I'm glad to hear that it will be not just peanuts, but something else. They're concerned about that. On the other side, since I have a white light, a few people have said, it's about time we had a lounge. They need a principal place to have lemon martini or Manhattan. But we would put forth, since you're half open anyway, we'd like to say that would you consider your hours in adjustment as you are in a neighborhood very closely affecting people's homes? Would you consider hours, for example, Sunday through Thursday closing before 2 a.m. and just Friday and Saturday at 2 a.m.? And just one more thing, the planning department brought up the fact that the signs, traffic signs, the roads, you can barely see them. And I thought they'd put that in their request to you, the council, that the pavement be restriped, stop signs repainted, so they could be definitely seen. The traffic, the way they drew the traffic, designed it, it's very complicated, and a few drinks makes it even more difficult. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. Victor Roy at Rancho San Luis Rey. I live in the senior community that's on the north side of the shopping center. Millie lives on the east side of the shopping center across El Camino Real. I'm here to oppose the permit, the CUP,
on the grounds that the shopping center is very busy every day. There are a lot of children of all ages that come through that shopping center, and the bar is right along, very close to El Camino Real, where kids are walking back and forth to buses to get to schools. We have a child care center nearby within the shopping center, a martial arts studio. So there are a lot of young people that come and go with their families, as well as grocery shopping and patronizing the other businesses. So I don't think it's a good fit for this particular location. I have no beef with the owners. I think the owners are respectable owners. They run a respectable business in Oceanside. They've been here as long as my family has been here, and I respect that. If the permit is granted, I would add to the permit or stipulate to the permit that it would be non-transferable. So as the current owners of the business would run that business with a good reputation, a clean record with the ABC. If it was sold, we don't know who would be coming in and their record and reputation. So I would say a conditional use permit that would be non-transferable would be of the highest importance for a lot of us. Millie makes a very good point here that the seniors that live in the nearby manufactured home communities, and there are 7 within the cluster near the shopping center, a lot of the seniors come in and they are riding on golf carts or motorized scooters, wheelchairs, and there have been a number of accidents with some of these people being hit over the years. So it is a major concern for a lot of those people. So with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Nadine Scott. I've been in Maxton's. You know, they run a decent business over there by Target, but they have a full kitchen there. And if they say they're serving food, but it's actually not a full kitchen, I think, and the applicant or staff can respond, I think it's just chips and microwave food. It's not the same as real food, so I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned about the smoking issue because I'm sure that ordinance will pass that you introduced if it hasn't already. Where are these people going to go? They're going to be right out in the parking lot smoking. That's what you do in a bar. You smoke and you drink. Get in there, and that's what people do. I was glad to know they had surveillance inside where they can see the whole bar. What about outside? You know, the smokers, their patrons. 2 o'clock, people can get a little rowdy. I'm also wondering if they have a mandatory alcohol service program. A lot of other bars subscribe to that, and I would like to see that as a condition. Mainly, I'm unhappy because they're asking for a locational waiver and a CUP. If the business actually fit there, they would not need those types of incentives from the city to open. You know, like Victor said, there's children and smoke shop and some other things. It's a frontage property. I understand the landlord might want a tenant, but that's not the best use of a frontage property. I spoke to Erica Leary from the prevention group at this community clinic. She couldn't come tonight. Her mother was ill. But she also, as do I, support limiting, if you do pass this project, strictly to these business owners. Because we don't need more 2 a.m. strictly cocktail lounges, and that's pretty much what this will be. You know, like Victor says, they have a good record in town. You don't know who you'll get next time, so I'd like to see them restrict the CUP if you pass this project. And once again, be interested to know about the food element, the outdoor smoking, etc. Thank you very much.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak on this item may come forward at this time. I know that Diane Rodriguez and Greg Claire put paperwork in, and you can come forward anytime to speak.
Mr. Clerk, I see none. Thank you. Pardon? Rebuttal? Rebuttal?
Yeah, there's 19 minutes, so the applicant may come forward. You have 19 minutes to rebut if you'd like to.
You have a chance to respond to any comments you heard in a rebuttal, so you may or may not already have.
Well, I want to bring forth number one, as far as with the parking situation. After we went through the planning meeting, I contacted the landlord the very next day, and they are working on restriping, re-signage, and everything for the parking center. They had a walkthrough yesterday with the contractor to get that already going. Number two, we do have food this time around. We're going to have sandwiches and different snack type things. We're also working on possibly doing a deal with Lava Grill to where we can set something up to where people can actually order. They will deliver over to us, which will supply a full menu that way also. People's concerned with the smoking. They have bus stops that are right on El Camino Real that are closer to their units than we are. People are standing at the bus stop smoking. The buses are going through, the cars are going through. You have the carbon monoxide from all of those. So, I mean, they're getting pollution from other places other than our people smoking. So it's the main things that they're concerned with. Those really aren't things, we've taken care of most of them. And I'd be more than happy to answer anything if anybody else has a question.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll go ahead and close the public comments and come back to the council. And for the staff, you've had some questions either way. Do you need to respond to any of those or not?
Yeah, in correspondence to the child care facility being in close proximity, it's about 600-700 feet away. Regulated uses, some regulated uses are required to be a certain distance, but bars are not one of them. The majority of the hours of business will be in the evening hours, so it won't be so much of a conflict with the existing child care facility. So that shouldn't be that much of an issue. In correspondence to smoking, we can ask the applicant to maybe designate an area to the west side of the building to have the patrons smoke on that side. That way, the actual building itself can act as a buffer from the street and the residents. We can ask the applicant to propose that if they'd like. And also, I think we'd have to ask the city attorney if we could condition the project to the CUP only being for this owner. I'm not sure if that's...
No, the answer to that is conditional use permit under California law runs with the land. So the only way to accomplish what the speakers are interested in would be to put an expiration date on the CUP and require the applicant to reapply at some point in the future.
Is that it?
I believe that's it.
Thank you very much. With that in mind, we'll go back to the council. Councilmember Kern, please.
Thank you. Vicki, you're absolutely right about the traffic there. I think the biggest problem is the location of the post office being right at the end. I mean, and that's, people are in and out. And parking haphazardly is probably an easiest way to explain that sometimes. And people trying to get their motorized scooters across that little section, I think that's the issue. I don't think this establishment will have any effect on that. I don't know what you can do to do that until they've threatened to close this post office twice now, so I don't know if that'll happen. But I think people will be really upset if they close it. That's where I go to the post office, because I live out in the valley. I think part of it is the striping. I hopefully, even without this establishment, they needed to restripe that and make it better and more visible, and actually put in crosswalks and maybe some lighting, but that's to the landlord. To go back to this applicant, though, the idea that I was in the establishment earlier this week, and I was one of the younger people in there, if you can, I was at the low end of the curve there about, yeah. No, yeah, well, it was. It's kind of hard to believe. You kind of go. It was like late in the afternoon. I met somebody there. I said, because they wanted a meeting. I said, let's go to Mackin, so I can basically do two things at once. I can talk to them about their issue. I can take a look at the establishment. And so, very low key, very quiet. I think it'd be an addition to the neighborhood. I think the idea that some of those seniors that live in those parks, middle of the week, middle of the day, to go over and play pool, I think would be a great addition to what, some recreational activity for them. Maybe you can have pool tournaments for the people there. So I think the city attorney kind of cleared up that one issue. And I know it was unanimous approval of the planning commission. Now I think part of that has to do with their very exemplary clean record that they've had at their current establishment. So I don't foresee any problems here. I mean, it's the same odor, it's the same level of operation. I wish they had hot dogs and stuff, but that's, you know, that's the only thing that was missing when you have a beer instead of a hot dog. But, you know, I can't tell, but I don't want to tell them how to do their business. You know, that we're not here for that. We're not going to tell them how to operate. We're not going to tell them how to do that. I mean, they have obviously a very successful operation now, and they don't need advice from me of what to do. So I'm going to move adoption of the resolution approving the conditional use permit to allow the bar and cocktail lounge and the associated pool tables located at 3780 Mission Avenue, Maxon's Pub and Grub, and the applicant. So with that, that's my motion.
Do we have a second? I have a second. Thank you. Councilman Feller, please.
Thank you. If they took the pool tables out of this, it would fit right in as a use without a CUP.
They would still need a CUP. The bar aspect of it requires a CUP too, as well.
And it's not a combination of the bar and the pool tables?
Either or. The pool tables require a CUP with the bar, so they both require CUPs.
Well, I think that more people will appreciate having that close by. I know that they, probably went through tough times in that Target shopping center with the years that it was there, 35 years, and all those police reports we heard about, not no one. I think that's a lot different than anything else we hear about normally. So I don't see a need to change anything that staff has recommended and the Planning Commission has approved. So thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
I have some concerns about the police needs for this property, so I'm wondering if Lieutenant Nolan could tell us a little about what their history is as far as OPD is concerned, relative to other places in particular.
Good evening. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question exactly. Are you referring to Maxton's or the current location?
Maxton's current location and how they relate to other similar businesses.
As far as we're concerned, they're exemplary. We actually have a nearby similar business and who is not doing quite as well. And Maxton's is a business that we will routinely take their statistics and their business model and show the other businesses what you can accomplish. Owning a bar, it's fraught with liability. Their liquor license came into existence in 1980, and that does say something. So from the time that I've looked back at it, we've had zero issues with them at all. In fact, use them as an example.
Great. Thank you very much.
Is that it, Chuck?
That's it. Thank you.
My comments on this is that feedback from other people, including the Deputy Mayor, Councilmember Sanchez on this is that if you remember, she put up an item on the council in the past saying she'd like to have 1,500-foot notification of any commercial establishment. What we have when we're under the 300-foot limit, that's like across the street. People will hear about it. So I think that's not fair to everybody. Number one, if you live there, you want to know about it. No, there's no doubt. Secondly, if you're somebody trying to open a new business or you're a developer, you want to know about any problems right up front, before you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars fixing up a building you find out later the neighborhood's not in favor of. So I'm a little concerned that in the future we have to come back with a plan that says notification, which is transparent government, and say, hey, something's coming in your neighborhood, and before these people invest a lot of time, money, and effort, it'd be nice to know if there's a problem. In this particular case, there's a limited notification. However, the people that are opening it put out a 1,500-foot notification under ABC. Is that correct? I understand. So I understand they tried, but for the city of Oceanside, it puts the people on notice in the neighborhoods and the developer catch on to any issues that they have not on the last minute, just before a council meeting, making a decision that gets this far into it. And I do have my concerns about any business that the public knows what it is and how it's going to operate. Plus, I think it's only fair to the developer or the person building to know what the problems are before they start investing big time and money in it. So that's one of my concerns, and that item is going to probably come back to us later regarding notification distances. So on this particular aspect, I certainly have talked to several people. I know the surrounding park area is seniors with a lot of activity. I hate to say this for the motorized wheelchairs and et cetera that I do see in that area, and I live by that area and drive through all the time, is I see a lot of them don't really go to the light or the crossing walks to get across the intersections. They kind of make that straight path across, which is certainly dangerous at best. So some of that has to be modified in a sense. Anything we can do from the traffic division to try to address those concerns. If you're in one of those mobile home parks or manufactured home parks, you want to go across the street, the Stater Brothers, as you've seen in the signs up here, they want to take that straight dash across and not go to the intersection of El Camino Real. And this, you know, they don't want to go to the one there at the traffic light for the Fredericks and Sausalito's area. They cut across the middle. That's a dangerous thing. We hope to alleviate that. Now, getting down to this issue, I just have gone too far into the project to come along and say, let's stop it. You know, it's got too much time, money, and effort, and that's not fair to them. I think it would be a good establishment. I did talk to the police department about this business and how long they've been in business without any problems, exemplary from what goes on for one of these type of establishments. I'm hoping it's all well. The good thing for somebody who may not wish it there, it's a CUP. We have a lot of influence on CUPs in the future and anything else. So I'm going to support it too because of what's taking this long to get to this point. It's only fair and reasonable. As long as we have a CUP that we can address later. But like I say, over here in this particular routing section, these are the people that originally opened it. They've been here forever, and I know them. And I think they're going to be good people. There's no doubt about that. So with that, that's my concerns. I pass it on as for staff, for CUP. We certainly want all the things necessary. I saw and I understood what you like to say. If they want to sell the building to somebody else and these wonderful people aren't going to be there anymore, can we stop that? Legally, no. Some real complications, so I want you to know that we can't really intervene that way. But looking at the past experience of Maxim's and where they were at, I truly don't foresee a problem. And if there's somebody else or another group, I might be speaking a little differently. But with this family and the matriarch of the family, I think it'll be wonderful. With that, I'm going to ask everybody if they would please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate your time. Mr. Clerk, with that, let's see where we're going here. Could we do item number 28 with Mr. Feller, please?
Yes. Item number 28 is a request by Councilmember Feller to ensure the continued planning and design necessary for the implementation of an aquatics facility at the El Corazon Senior Center site through the following actions. A, allocate $1.2 million of unallocated capital funds for fiscal year 2014-2015 and fiscal year 2015-2016 to advance necessary studies and detailed design work required to provide the shelf-ready construction bid documents for the proposed aquatic facility at El Corazon, and B, conceptually dedicate the funding made available through the retirement of general obligation bonds for the Civic Center debt in fiscal year 2019-2020, estimated $1.85 million per year, to the debt service and operational costs required for the El Corazon Aquatic Center.
If I may, please, and I'm sorry to interrupt you right up front, if I may. I've been called by somebody and asked to put this information on. If I may, you still have your chance to bring it up, and I was recently informed that this item had been presented in a former council meeting indicating that staff was supposed to come back to us. That was Councilmember Sanchez. She put it on. That was going to come back to us at a time frame to address this issue, the costs involved from staff. My concern is just like hers, I guess. We already have one of these put on for staff to come back and notify us what we're going to do, what the cost is, and everything else about it. So I've had a little conflict there, so I want to say that tells some of us that we're waiting for something to come back. This is a new item addressing similar issues. So I'm concerned that I'm going to have Mr. Feller address those issues, and if there's a concern, we'll have to make a decision on what we're doing with a former request from a council member to address the same issue. So with that, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Back to you.
Thank you very much. I think it's kind of characterized. We had no knowledge of the information that we all received from Mr. Jepson regarding the facility, and that was done on February 9th, following a prior meeting. So the issue at this point is, and I'm sorry Councilmember Sanchez couldn't be here, but we were all notified probably 3 weeks ago of this item being on the agenda for March 4th. So it's simply to start the process. It started back in July last year, and then October, how we had worked through the costs of redoing Brooks and maybe Marshall, and we found that it was cost prohibitive to actually do that, and so our council gave approval to go forward and look at the future. So that's what it's here for, is for us to direct our staff to look at the opportunity that we have, and we have it before us. I left copies of the memorandum that came out February 9th in the back of the room, and there is it's been spelled out how the funding would take place. What I've asked is, since Peter Weiss has been on the ground researching all of this since the beginning, that he come and kind of go through a little bit the logistics and the financing for moving this forward. I mean, we have a chance to start that process tonight. So if Mr. Weiss would step up.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, council members. As Councilmember Feller outlined, that you've had several opportunities to review and provide direction on the potential aquatic center at El Corazon. At your last opportunity, I believe we presented to you a concept plan that we went through a community process that everyone was supportive of. The council was supportive of that concept plan as well. And we did identify that long-term there may be some potential debt consolidation that would help pay for the construction costs. We identified that there would be needed funding to move forward with the entitlement process and then the design. The memorandum dated February 9th certainly provides a lot more information in regards to how the project could be funded in advance. Right now, we are not doing any active work on the project simply because we need to identify a funding source to start that entitlement process. If you do take this action, that certainly would advance that. I would indicate to you that since the debt on the Civic Center really doesn't get paid off until 2019, you do have a little bit of a latitude in regards to making a final commitment and going forward to issue that debt. Now, I do know one of the issues that came up, and if you look at the memo that has come up from others, is, well, you're looking at about a $1.1 million a year debt payment over 25 years. That's a lot more than $14 million. I guess the analogy that I would use for you is if you went and bought a $250,000 house and got a 5% mortgage for 30 years, at the end of the time you'd be paying back almost $480,000. So you don't tell people you bought a $480,000 house, you bought a $250,000 house. So part of the costs, if you will, of the long-term interest payments that you would have sufficient capacity for if you allocated the Civic Center debt toward that. You certainly would then be able to advance the financing of that. The key, though, for advancing the pool at this point is identifying adequate funding to complete the upfront environmental work,
and then the design work, and then that would lead into ultimate construction. If you are interested in doing that, I would recommend that the design work be comprehensive, so it would include all of the different aspects of completing the senior center and the aquatic center, and then at such time as you are looking at financing the construction, you can actually segregate some of those items if you so desire. I will tell you, we have had conversations with Oceanside Unified School District in regards to the potential for funding part of the capital costs. They have indicated they have absolutely no ability to fund any of the capital costs as a result of specific language in the bond measure. We also do have a joint use agreement with the school district that allows the schools' aquatics programs, both their swim and water polo programs, joint access to our facilities at no cost and our access to certain facilities of theirs at no cost. We do, however, have had preliminary conversations, not recently with the new MiraCosta executive director, but we certainly had opened that door as a potential for MiraCosta providing some funding as the project moves forward, and we actually can show other organizations that have expressed an interest in using a broader aquatic center, that there may be potential funding from a variety of sources, including MiraCosta. The VA next door has expressed an interest in having access to the pool. So there may be some longer-term opportunities for both capital funding and operational funding. But again, we wouldn't be able to iron those agreements out or even initiate the negotiations until we know for sure what the project is going to entail and what the costs are going to be. And that would be done once we finish the entitlements and the ultimate design. With that, I'd be happy to answer any additional questions you may have, but this certainly would be a way of advancing the project on a much quicker timeline than incrementally moving forward.
So in other words, you're also including what's left to be done with the senior center, the kitchen, the ballroom, that type of thing, the others.
And that would be my recommendation, have at least start the design, because part of the aquatic center does complete one of the community rooms for the senior center. There's additional classroom that could be programmed for other uses. I'm aware that at least from the aquatic staff and several of the other users, there's a need for additional storage and potentially a small fitness center. All of those things could be designed. You don't necessarily, depending on funding capacity, have to actually go build them. But again, those decisions could be made, much further down the road.
Okay. I suppose public at this point.
I would like to see if there's public speakers on it. Thank you.
Yes, we have public on this item.
Good.
At this time, Alexander Bennett can come forward. Next, we have Midori Simovic.
Good evening. Thank you very much for moving forward with El Plano del Camino El Corazon Aquatic Center. I really appreciate your effort and willingness, and I'd like to thank you all on behalf of all the parents who have aquatic program players and the swimmers. Thank you very much for Councilmember Sanchez, who is not here today. She would have been very strong supporter, one of the very strong supporter for this El Corazon Aquatic Center. And thank you very much for Councilmember Feller for bringing up this item to allocate and move forward for the building of Aquatic Center, which is, as you all know, that today we don't have, this was very short notice for us, and I couldn't rally up everybody in a short notice, but you have seen how many people, how many students, you have heard how many citizens are interested in this aquatic center, so I would really like to remind you that we all are watching and looking forward to have this plan moving forward. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Nadine Scott.
Good evening again. I was at the last meeting when this was discussed, and it was very, very clearly given direction to staff. current staff, I should think, not the ex-staff of Mr. Jepson and consultant Weiss. I think the direction was to current staff to come back with a fully formed financing plan. And the fact that Ms. Sanchez is not here tonight, and this is a crucial issue to you, I'm asking you to put this over when she can return. I think it's inappropriate to jump the gun when the proposal was to go to staff, not Steve Jepson. I've read the proposal he sketched out, and contrary to what Peter Weiss says, none of us buy a house without getting our financing in place first. We don't go, well, we're going to get $100,000 for the $250,000 house, and maybe somebody else will chip in later, maybe they won't. You guys need to direct staff to come up with a fully financing plan and a strategy. Because city, I support the pool, definitely. I support all the users. I've swum since I was 4 years old. I was a swimming teacher. I've taught kids from 11 months old till ladies 82 years old, who it took me 3 months to get her to put her feet in the pool. She was terrified. So I am a huge swimming advocate, but I'm also very smart about money. And this is, you're going off half-cocked, trying to say that we're going to issue all these bonds that indebt the city, and maybe in 2019 we'll retire the city hall debt. Maybe we won't. Who knows what kind of bonds those are. We don't have bond counsel here. We don't have our finance people here. This is not in our budget. We need more careful planning to make sure the community gets what it wants. You've held one workshop that I'm aware of. Yes, it was widely supported. No one I've heard from the supporters thus far has admonished you to get a financing plan and strategy in place. So I'm hoping you will bring this back after staff, current staff, not staff who resigned, can address these issues in a more comprehensive manner. Thank you very much.
Next we have Scott Wagner.
Good evening, council members. I want to thank Peter Weiss, Midori Simovich, all the other parents, citizens of this community for backing this program, this facility, which is desperately needed. I want to encourage you to move forward in getting this project up and running. I also want to encourage you to kind of take a little field trip. I just came from a swim practice, and if you come between the hours of 2:30 and 5 o'clock, you would be amazed at what's going on at Brook Street Swim Center as far as the amount of people, the amount of kids, and how much that facility is being used, and how it's running over at the brim. Anybody familiar with swimming, we average over 10 people per lane. So, I mean, we see diagrams, we see numbers, but it would really, really behoove you to actually go to a practice and see all that's going on and see how it is such a community hub and how much it's used, how much it's kind of been outgrown. And then I'd also like to encourage you at the same time, probably around the same hours, to go visit Alga Norte Pool, which is in eastern Carlsbad, which the model of the new pool is mostly being drawn from, and kind of see what's going on there and how that has become such a community hub and how these two pools are being efficiently used and have become such a powerful part of the community. Thank you.
Next we have Victor Roy.
Good evening again, Honorable Mayor and Honorable Council members. Not only am I a life member of the United States Tennis Association, but I'm a lifelong supporter of the United States Olympic swimming teams, men and women. We do need this facility in Oceanside. I am a big proponent for that. We haven't had a pool built here in 50 years, as has been pointed out in the Planning Commission meetings. It's very important that we get one, but I'm aligned with Nadine in the fact that we need to budget wisely and see if we can get our costs down, but we still need to make this happen. We have a lot of talent in North County, and particularly in our beach community. We're the third largest city in San Diego County, and I believe if we do build the aquatic center, that we will enhance the quality of life for the swimming community, and we will attract major events, swimming events here. For example, for the United States Olympic team, the trials in June before we went to, like 2 Olympics ago, our trials were held in Long Beach, and they actually built a special facility for the trials. If we have an Olympic-sized swimming pool here, we can actually hold Olympic trials here in Oceanside. So please go forward with this project, but do so with a good conscience towards budgeting and bringing the cost down for everybody. Thank you.
Next we have Carmen Guinness.
Good evening, council members. My name is Carmen Guinness. I live at 161 Ramona Way, and in line with the gentleman who just sat down, the city has a lot of potential to earn money with the pool. Besides all of the obvious needs, I am currently an educator at a private, not a private, but a public charter school, and we have and I work for Mountain Empire Unified School District, but I have an office in Oceanside, and we are in need of a facility where I can hold classes. So the potential is not only in sports and water polo and bringing big events like Junior Olympics, holding trials, but I think the community also needs there's just other schools besides the big schools that could use the facility, and that would be also rent for the city. And the other potential is refill the hotels, so we can have tax through that. So I think there is a lot more potential in earning that we're not aware of. And I think if we bring the facility, also U.S. divers, if we put a diving board, I know that they would come. So there are many, many opportunities, but we can't look at that without moving forward. And yes, we do need to budget carefully, but I think that will happen once it moves forward. Then we can start doing the budget. So I'm in huge favor for the pool to go forward, and I hope that you guys will support it as well.
No further public on this item.
Thank you very much, Mr. Feller gets to finish up on this. I have to say a couple of things for you, ladies and gentlemen. I think you noticed in the past we voted 5-0 to support the pool. However, this recent one came up, and Esther's not here, but basically she had asked what some other people said. Okay, it sounds like a great idea. We kind of agree. Send it back to staff. Tell us how we pay for it and how this works out. And that's what her recommendation was to staff to come back to us. That hasn't come back yet. Now, for me up here, sitting here, it's nice to have things that are, quote, nice, but are they necessary right now in the budget? We have a tight budget. There's no doubt about it, ladies and gentlemen. Is this priority? If you know, we just had a workshop not long ago to try to address things that are a priority for you, the citizens, and the council. We had 153 items come up from that meeting that they thought should be paid for by the city and things done. And if you were there, you found out they were really asking about the top 3 items for all of us. Not all of them, just the top 3. The pool was in there, but not every time. That's where again. So we have to sit up here and say what kind of money we have to pay for these things. I'm not saying I'm against any of this. I'm just saying we have a request to staff to come back to us and say, what's it going to be, what's it going to cost us, how we're going to pay for it, etc. For me up here, the kind of responsibility is I want to see that. You know, tell me how we're going to afford it and what's going to be and who we're going to cut to do this. That's what I have to decide. Usually with things like this, something else in the budget gets cut out that other people want too, so I want to find out. I think that's only reasonable. This secondary item that came up with Mr. Feller came from a former city manager. He told Mr. Feller basically how he would handle it and how we would get the money. Well, I haven't seen that from anybody else in staff, so I'm concerned. And there is a request already on board to have staff come back with this. So I'm not really supporting this tonight, but I'm certainly very supportive of the issue. I also have to tell you and the people out watching TV, I'm a little bit concerned when the school district says they don't have any ability to support us or help us. Maybe near Costa College will. We have 5 school districts in Oceanside. None of them seem to have stepped up concerned about a pool per se as the district, not necessarily parents. I'd like to make sure those people want to be on board like the staff will tell us. If they're not, we have to look at it differently. Nobody's on board right now. Then if you remember from the last council meeting, basically we had a group come forward and said, we'll build all that for you. We'll build it and won't charge you a dime. Remember that group? However, that'll be, they own it privately on city property. It'll be a private enterprise that we may have to pay to use it or have to finance it somewhere down the road with the school districts, etc. Nobody wanted that either because they didn't want private enterprise on El Corazon, but they were willing to build it for free. Puts us in a dilemma. Somebody wants to do it, but they don't want it out there, back and forth, back and forth. So it does concern me. I want to see the facts before I sign on for the financial impact. And remember, out of the 153 items we came up at the last workshop, the pool was one of them, but we had everything you can think of, from water issues to transportation issues to buildings, repairs, you name it, they were on the list. Those are all money. We're coming out of recession, and I'm happy about that. We were told by our former city manager we had about $1.5 million over that we could spend. That's his opinion. He's no longer with us, but again, a city this large where you have $1.5 million to pay for everything else isn't a whole lot of money. Now, Mr. Weiss has been here a long time working with us, worked for the group that wanted to do the Olympic pools, swimming, diving, and everything else. But remember, everybody at El Corazon said they didn't want a private enterprise on our city property for a swimming pool. Even we got it free. So I want more facts coming to me, and that's what had been previously requested, more details. So I'm just telling you I have concerns, not necessarily that we don't want it, but I want to get the details. I represent you and all the other taxpayers out there. Is this number one on the budget? And if so, how do we pay for it? With that, that's all. I don't want anybody jumping up and saying we're not interested, but I want to hear from the rest of the council members. But like I say, I wish Mrs. Sanchez was here, but she still would have probably said, as she told me, I'd ask staff to bring that back. Have they yet? No. Thank you. So with that, I'll move on to Councilmember Kern, please.
Before I begin, Councilmember Feller, you're going to make this in the form of a motion?
Yes.
Okay, well, I will second the motion then.
Thank you. I have a motion in a second.
Okay.
Anyway, to go back to a couple things, at a certain point in time, we have to start. The idea that we keep kicking it down the road, we can talk about it forever. At a certain point in time, we're going to have to say, okay, we need to find out what the true costs are, and we won't know that until we do this. So the idea that the mayor wants some information, this gives us the information that we want about how much it will cost, and then we can work out the financing plan. So the idea, this is going to be the first step. Whether we wait a year, not, but it just makes it longer. I think getting it off the dime tonight is very important. The idea that it is the sense of the council that it was 5-0. Everybody wanted it. The community meeting we went to, everybody wanted it. My talking to the public, everybody wants it. I think Mr. Roy kind of hit it on the head. We're a city now of 180,000. We haven't built a pool in 50 years. At that time, I don't know, we were 30,000, something like that, 50 years ago. We were significantly smaller, and we had 2 pools. And actually, if you extrapolate that out, we should probably be building 2 pools because of the growth in population and demand that we have, and plus the fact that the population has moved east. Obviously, you can't go west, but the idea of the population of Oceanside has moved east of I-5, where our pools are right at I-5. Both of them were within, a half a mile of I-5. We need at least something east of El Camino Real for the people of Costa Serena, Peacock Hills, all of those, and plus, the schools and things like that. So whether we wait, which I don't think we should, I think we need to get this information so we can make those good, solid decisions further on. When we talk about financing, I don't know how much we're going to finance, and if Mr. Weiss can show me a house in Oceanside that's for $250,000, I'm sure some of us in the room would like to hear that. So the idea that, the cost will continue to rise. The longer we wait, the longer we put this off, the cost will continue to rise. So I think tonight's a good opportunity. I think we all support this. I'm sure there's some consternation about the timing and who brought it forward, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to help the people and the citizens of Oceanside and get them the things that they really do. And I don't even say want. I mean, this has been a demonstrated need now because of our population change. So I wholeheartedly support this. I hope the council will vote for this and get it moving forward. The financing plan is the financing plan, and until we find out, are we buying a $250,000 house or a $350,000 house, we don't know until we actually do this work. So I'm going to support this because I think it needs to move forward. Thank you.
Councilor Deputy Mayor Lowry, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. I researched a little bit about the income that the pool is currently giving us, and it appears that the school district and Miracosta have never given us anything for decades. We had a school team when I was in Oceanside High School, and that was definitely decades ago. And I'm wondering, Mr. Weiss, if you can tell us where the money would come from?
Well, the schools don't pay because of the joint agreement we have. In regards to where the money would come from, at least in the memo that you're looking at, the money for the upfront entitlement and design would be coming out of your capital reserves. If, in fact, and again, you don't need to make a commitment as to financing the pool just yet. If, in fact, you follow the recommendation in the memo, then what you would be doing once the debt's paid off on this building, you would just roll that revenue source into the new debt service. And at some point, you'd issue new bonds to pay for the actual construction.
We would have to do new bonds?
Yes.
How do we pay for the bonds?
Off the same revenue stream that's paying for this building. We're currently charging all the various departments because of the way the building rental rate is set up, but it generates about $1.8 million a year. So instead of charging building rental rate, you free up additional revenues that would then be allocated to the debt service payment.
We wouldn't have to go to a new bond debt for the taxpayers? Oceanside residents?
No.
No. Okay. So it sounds like it's kind of free. So I'm concerned about, I'd like to see how this fits into the city's budget process that we have coming up pretty soon, rather than going straight ahead on this tonight. I'd also like to see if the staff report that was requested a few weeks ago is going to give us anything, or if they've just shelved that. I can't imagine that's the case. Can you say if we're going to get anything from this request from staff for something on a pool?
We have been working on a draft in regards to putting together a plan and timeline to start the entitlement process, but that had stopped with the February 9th memorandum because that outlined not only the entitlement and design but also the construction financing.
If we moved the staff proposal forward, how long would it take for us to get something?
Well, if you want it as part of the budget process, I believe there's a budget workshop in March.
April. Okay, so we could have something tangible in just a few weeks then?
Well, the answer, I mean, in regards to the budget process, if you want the budget process you're adopting would be adopting a one-year budget, we'd only be bringing forward the costs to do the entitlement and design.
Okay.
Because that's about all you'll be able to do in that one-year period
right now.
Yeah.
And then if we move ahead with the pool project where we, start to build it, and then the payment for that between now and when the commitment on this facility goes away, how do we do that? in between now and then?
If you look at there was a tentative schedule in that memo, and the soonest that you'd be looking at any kind of construction would be June of 2016, and I think that's kind of aggressive. We've looked at the timeline to do the entitlements and then the design, and I think that timeline, the June 16th, would be kind of early. I think you'd be looking later, in probably early 17, by the time you could actually get to where you're issuing construction contracts. And so if that's the case, you would plan your issuing your debt to cover at least one cycle of the construction costs in advance.
A couple of years worth?
Yes.
3 years. Okay. Thank you.
I do want to tag on one quick thing the Deputy Mayor brought up. The money that we front for this, we can actually recover on the bond. So the idea that this unallocated fund balance can be replaced at a later date. So it's not like the money goes away when the bonds are, so we can pay ourselves back for all those upfront costs. Am I misspeaking? I'm looking at the attorney or Mr. Weiss. I think my understanding that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to need a detailed financing plan. So it is my understanding if there was a future bond issuance that those upfront costs theoretically could be recovered in talking to Michelle Lund, but we'd have to give you a much more detailed response.
Okay, but I think that's it. So in the long term, as far as the unallocated fund balance, we're at net zero. It's going to take a couple of years, but I think funding that now and going forward now would actually help get the process started. Thank you.
Is that it for everybody? Mr. Feller, you're last because this is your item.
Thank you. I don't think Steve Jepson did this in a vacuum. I think, he's certainly put out a memo that has been out for almost a month. It does have a timeline in it. It does have a way to pay for it, not necessarily the way, but I think the question for me is the capital reserves. How much money do we have in capital reserves?
I believe you have around 3.5 in your infrastructure reserve, and I don't know about any other reserve at this point. I didn't.
So as Councilmember Kern said, there's a way to recoup that for the capital reserves as we go forward. People 50 years ago were probably madder than heck that they had to pay for a pool at that time, and I doubt seriously they regret it at this point, noting the use that's going on. This is nice is the reality that's here and now, and I think given us a chance to start this process is the right way to go. I mean, in 2 years we start a project that is going to be something that in 50 years will be just outstanding, and we have not the detailed explanation of how to finance it, but the funding availability and the funding requirements in a ballpark, and so you can't know what it's going to cost completely until you do the studying, and that's what we're asking for here now. And I think it makes all the sense in the world to go forward with something that has been a thorn in our sides for a long time, and we keep kicking the can down the road, and the next thing you have to do is completely rebuild Brooks Pool to go forward, and that's just not fair to there's thousands of people that have gone through the system swimming at Brook Street Pool, and we're just too big of a city now to be thinking of, such kind of picky reasons not to do this. We're at a point where we can start the process and make a difference for the lives of our citizens. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, and I'll wind this down by saying thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your input on this. You've been here before, I understand it. There's no doubt about it, it's something very popular. However, if you're concerned about fiscal responsibility, and I think we should be, this makes me nervous, and we still haven't got the details. That's all it's about. These are the two gentlemen on the end who said never touch your reserves. Now they want to touch the reserves. I'm not sure what we want, but with that, please vote. You just did. Please vote.
Motion fails 2-2. Wood and Lowry now.
Thank you much, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time. And Mr. Clerk, when you get a minute,
Can I just jump in real quick? Our council rules do provide that a failure to secure a majority vote, a tie vote, 2-2, means the item would be continued to the next council meeting when there's a full council. But this is a council member item, so I'm assuming, Councilmember Keller, you would want it then to go into the next meeting? Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Item 25, I know there's people here working here, and I didn't mean to keep you all night long, ladies, and I apologize. Let's do that item next.
Yes, item number 25, we have one speaker. Sherry Goddard to come forward this time.
Good evening.
You want the rest of them to come up too at the podiums if you want?
I think not. I'm going to refer to them. Thank you anyway. So good evening to you all. My name is Sherry Goddard. I'm the president of Seroptimus International Oceanside Carlsbad. And you may or may not know, Seroptimus is a global women's organization whose members volunteer to improve the lives of women and girls through programs leading to social and economic empowerment. Approximately 80,000 Seroptimists in 130 countries and territories support community-based and global projects benefiting women and girls. And I'm joined tonight by some of my members, and one of them is on your panel. Slavery is a harsh reality for millions of people all over who find themselves trapped in abusive systems, bought and sold like objects, and treated with no dignity or human decency. Human rights groups estimate that anywhere between 12.3 million and 27 million people are enslaved in forced or bonded labor, child labor, sexual servitude, and involuntary servitude at any given time. One type of slavery and exploitation that is growing at an alarming rate, and that's of particular relevance to women and girls, is sex trafficking. 79% of human trafficking victims are women and girls. 79% of those victims end up in sex slavery. You may think that those girls who are trafficked come from foreign countries. Many of them do. However, girls right here in the United States and here in North County are being trafficked and are at risk every day of being manipulated or coerced into slavery in the sex trade. Seroptimists and many organizations work tirelessly on raising awareness, assisting victims, preventing slavery from happening in the first place, and advocating for better laws and enforcement. We as Seroptimists would like to invite you and the community to join us this coming Sunday, March 8th at 2 p.m. as we screen the documentary Chosen at the New Venture Christian Fellowship Church in Oceanside. This documentary was chosen as a human trafficking prevention film that tells the shocking true story of two all-American girls tricked into trafficking. Following the screening, a panel of local experts, including representatives from the County of San Diego Deputy's DA Office, Churches Against Trafficking, North County Lifeline, and our own Oceanside Police Department, will share their specific passions and experiences and the work they do to help eradicate this crime of human trafficking. The goal of this free event is to help parents, teens, and the public learn the warning signs and identify potential risks from becoming a victim of human trafficking. Please join us on Sunday at 2 p.m. at the New Venture Christian Church. Thank you very much.
No further public on this item.
And we're joining with SIXS on the operation. We hope to see something together.
Do you have a flyer?
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
I may. Have we done everything except council reports?
Correct.
That's it, besides the adjournment?
Yes.
Council reports.
Mayor Wood.
I'll pass.
Deputy Mayor Lowry.
I went to Washington, D.C. last week with interim city manager Michelle Lawrence and interim water utilities director Jason, and we went there looking for some help with primarily with the San Luis Rey River. It appears that the levee is not very stable. So we went to Congressman Isa's office, and we went to meet with the Army Corps of Engineers, and we asked them if they could help us. We also asked at Senator Boxer's office and Senator Feinstein's office for help, and I'm hoping that they'll help us, but we really would like resolution on this. The Army Corps of Engineers has let us go for 40 years without completing that project, and that impacts everyone who lives along the river in the valley there. So I think it's a very serious situation. A lot of people asked me about the weather, and I said the weather is exactly like it is here. It's just 25 degrees instead of 75 degrees, and there's snow all over on the ground. But it was a really great, I think it was a worthwhile visit. I also on Monday went to Laurel Elementary for a reading program kickoff and celebration of the birthday of Dr. Seuss. And so I got to read in one of the classrooms, and that was really interesting. I read the book, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein, which was a really meaningful short book, and that's it to report today. Thank you.
Councilmember Feller.
Thank you. I attended a very emotional funeral for
Heritage Park, I think. Good stuff.
All day, just go on the flyer, get in at the park, check out Oceanside, maybe that, and we'll contact Parks and Recreation. Excuse me, we can.
Councilmember Feller, the Elkhorn Zone workshop is actually on the 25th of March.
But now the public knows it. Yeah.
Oh.
Just testing you.
Councilmember Crane.
Thank you. The only thing I really want to talk about is the library volunteer recognition last week. Two things on that. One is the number of hours, the 26,800 hours of volunteer time that people have given to the library, which is about equivalent to 13 full-time employees that we don't have to pay because of the volunteer work that they've done. That labor cost probably equivalent to about $647,000 of labor cost for over a year. So I think we cannot operate some of the things in this city without the help of our volunteers. And the library has a great core of volunteers. And the other thing was Gail Wales last Thursday at the farmer's market made $1,000 selling books. So it's just amazing if you realize those books are only maybe $1, maybe $2 at the most, to sell $1,000 worth of books in 5 hours, 6 hours? And all that money goes straight to the library for their children's services and the free concerts and all those things that we do through the library. We cannot do that without the help of the Friends. So last year I think they raised $128,000 to help the library put on all those events. So I just want to recognize them for all the work that they did. So, and then the last thing that the mayor and I did attend the memorial service for Jerry Sawyer this last weekend. And so one last, shout out to Jerry and all the work that he did for the city of Oceanside. So, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting to Wednesday, March 18th, 3:30 p.m. at this location. Thank you very much. Be safe.